It's Tuesday, and this is Trekland, and we are live. Do we realize what all just happened, Star Trek? Yeah. Today on Trekland Tuesdays Live, number 224, with me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemechek, coming at you live, as we do every Tuesday, right here from the portal through Trekland, the heart of Trekland, to bring some clarity, sanity, and the big picture to everything Star Trek. Here we are. Here we are, and no small thanks to all of our Patreons. Hey, here they are, our TTLers and our live wires. Thanks to you all. Another shout out later. Lots going on today. Hey, if you're a regular here on Tuesdays, you know I'm going to get off on a little rant here, or a little update today, in the case may be. And then we'll take a very short break, and we'll do the paired analytics. Streaming ratings for SVOD here in the US top 10, and a look at Lower Decks on the side. And then we'll get to the chat, right? So if you're coming with us on Twitch, don't worry. I will get to you. I'm not ignoring you, okay? We'll say howdies and hellos and answer some real questions. Probably have a lot of chat on the side too. Maybe even turn off our phones while we're at it. Hey, everybody. It is so good to see everyone again. Yeah. Today on Tuesday, a lot of things going on. It's not been my point here is, did you really see that? Did we realize what just happened, Star Trek? Now, yes, we had all the casting bombshells from last Star Trek Day. It's been almost a week. All of those announcements, especially Strange New Worlds, was melting down Twitter. Yes, Uhura and Chapel as characters. Yes, M'Benga, and I called that 6 months ago when the casting was announced. And a Noonien hyphen sung. What is that all about? That really melted down the interwebs. The chatter was out. Yeah, we had that and had a yes. Lower Decks continues to amaze and delight, and wear out pause buttons on every piece of mobile device anywhere ever assembled. Yes, all that is happening. Yes, we know that Prodigy is coming October 28th. And yes, we know that we're going to have Star Trek overlap because Disco Season 4 is starting November 18th. So I guess people think you can walk and chew gum, watch a half-hour cartoon, and a full-hour drama at the same time. Because there's going to be many, many episodes of Prodigy overlapping with Disco, with Picard to follow sometime in early 2022, I'm sure. And yes, we know that Picard Season 3 is filming back-to-back with Season 2. They just wrapped Season 2 and full steam ahead right now. And yes, we know that Alex Kurtzman, good old Alex, openly talked about the Starfleet Academy show as if to knock down those rumors that it had drifted away. They want to stick with the five that they've got going now, almost no overlap to avoid burnout, short seasons. But the Starfleet Academy is still around, and that he even sees it as a time to examine that period of life, older teenagers becoming adults, what that means, how they can be a fresh blood on the establishment, shake things up, but at the same time, what they can learn from an older generation as well, and have that be the dramatic, the tipping point of the episodes, which is great, which is way better than 90210 soap opera. I'm all for that. And it also speaks a lot to the critical point in history that we are right now. Yeah, yes. We know all that too. And we know that, hey, as of Saturday night, the creative Emmys, as if acting and writing, directing aren't creative, but the creative arts Emmys, yay, shout out to Discovery's visual effects team. Winning Emmy, the nominated show was Sukal. With all the weird planetary castle, all that stuff. And yeah, Jason Zimmerman's the head of that team. He's a supervising producer and the lead on the visual text supervisor. But shout out to his whole team, everybody listed on the ballot. Ante Dekovic, supervisor, Alexandra Katroska, visual effects producer, Charles Collier, lead effects artist, Alexander Wood, the on-set visual effects supervisor, which used to just be the visual effects supervisor in the old days. And Ivan Kondrup Jensen, Kristen Prahl, Tony Puryakemi, and Leslie Chung. From some of the other vendors there, Crafty Apes, DNEG, Ghost Visual Effects. Full team of 9 folks on that Emmy nomination. Everybody took home brass, so congrats to Discovery for doing that. Yes, that happened. And yes, Michelle Hurd, our very own Raffi now on Picard, just won a very special SAG-AFTRA award. SAG-AFTRA, the union for actors who appear on camera, now unified as the last few years, won a special President's Award for service, because the service she did in both establishing safety regs on set for cast and crew during the pandemic, and also helping to create an app called Safe Place, a reporting system that's both credible and safely anonymous for people to report sexual harassment issues on set, post Me Too, which has been a quiet little thing. Hasn't really trumpeted that until the announcement of this award. So if you've heard Michelle talk now in the year or so of virtual and now live, she does not stay quiet when it comes to the issues she cares about. And here's the case where she's not just talking the talk, walking the walk. So congrats to Michelle Hurd on that. That's amazing. An award from your peers is always something. And yes, that happened. And yes, did you hear about the retool of the Roddenberry Centennial plans that the Roddenberry Foundation, is coming out with? It's now the Boldly Go campaign. It's being teamed up with, it's in affiliation with CBS or Paramount Plus. We need to get used to saying. Did you have a hard time switching from Paramount to CBS 12 years ago? Are you having a hard time switching back from CBS to Paramount Plus? It's a funny world. Pendulum swings. Yeah. But the foundation is going to be working with the tech company Otoy, which is run by a friend of Rod, so it's great they can team up. They're going to have everybody submit just your messages, photos, videos of what you want to see the world look like in 100 years, right? Hashtagging it BoldlyGo100. This is all part of boldlygo.org. They're going to put that together into a virtual art piece, combine all that. It'll be available to the public and auctioned, real life. All the proceeds would go to nonprofits. It's trying to turn all of our Star Trek good hopes, wishes, aspirations, all that we love Star Trek for giving back to us, trying to make that something tangible. Not just for the art piece, but to something, then turn that into bucks that can go to people making that happen in real life, which is obvious, but it's an awesome project. They're even talking about partnering with satellite company Planet. They're going to etch that artwork onto some of their satellites, launch them into space next year. It would be the first space-based art installation. I mean, yes, they're doing work. It would not be more space junk, space debris. But it would be that in space. So, yes. So kudos if you did not hear about that. The Boldly Go campaign from the Roddenberry Foundation, partnered with Paramount Plus and others, and all these tech ends, trying to make real-world sense of the Roddenberry legacy and everything Star Trek. I mean, yes, that happened. That happened, but 2 other things that you may not. I mentioned this briefly last week going into Star Trek Day because we were so swept up in it. It took me a minute. I mentioned this briefly, but I want to expand. 5 years ago, we saw the biggest Star Trek event ever, really, globe spanning, the 50th, right? I called it 50 Fever. The biggest Vegas Trek event ever, the first mission, New York, the first mission from Reed Pop, who now has the license for official cons. We saw that we saw the destination treks in Europe take hold and had produced big 50th anniversary cons as well. It was a big year for advertisers, right? Going mainstream, bringing Trek to the mainstream audience. It was a huge year. It's just that 2 or 3 days before anniversary day on the 8th, I realized that there was nothing for anybody to do. On the 8th, there was no marking of the 8th aside from everybody just hashtagging it and tweeting it, right? Posting about it. Just here locally, I thought we should do something. So I went over to Lucy's El Adobe Cafe, which is the last little Hollywood diner hangout watering hole. It's a good restaurant too, across from Paramount from the old days. And I went in and talked to them. One of the channels, I forget which, was streaming Star Trek episodes, original series, on the 8th in 2016. I just asked him if I had 20, maybe, 30, 40 people coming in, just an open invitation, if they could do a drink special and if we could turn all the TVs on, which they did. It was a Wednesday night, a Thursday night. Nobody cared. Nothing else was going on. There was certainly no new Star Trek happening in 2016, right? It was a full year before Discovery premiered. It was 5 years ago. And not only was no new Star Trek happening, nothing was marking the day, which was usual. That's what we'd always had. We always used to say, happy Star Trek anniversary, happy birthday, hey, happy Star Trek birthday to each other. Went online to tweeting and Facebooking then, but that's all we used to do. And to the point that I felt the 50s should do something just in our own little local way, local LA way, as other clubs and groups did around the country in some part. All I did was make a big birthday card, took the original artwork there, and just had a card that people could come in and sign. Just said, here's a place, everybody. Come hang out, come talk Trek, meet some new friends. And there were lots of new faces. I was thrilled. And everybody signing. Isn't that awesome? I just had this stuck away. I got to do something with this. I saved it. We just put it away in a closet. And I had not retrieved it. I had not gone back to get it physically or literally or mentally until it dawned on me, this huge Star Trek day, now is what we call it, of last week. After 2 or 3 years here with the pandemic driven, of being virtual, having virtual panels. Yay. Now someone has lit the light bulb that it's a great marketing day on top of First Contact Day. It's not con driven. It's totally within the, even a license convention. It's a date, no matter what's happening in the world. Paramount Plus now can market, can present fans some really exclusive content, can partner up and have some really big opportunities, all in the name of Star Trek in good works. And yeah, sure, merchandise, sure, what the hell. And even donate that off to charity, which is what happened, both virtually now and in the pandemic. We talked about this last week as being a continuing build here of the last few years, going back to the very first time the studio did anything, which wasn't until the 20th anniversary. And then it was a big way and a big explosion. That was one history that was fun. That was fun to trace. But the bigger picture is, look what's just happened in 5 years. Of course, that parallels the whole idea of, look what's just happened with actual filmed on-screen Star Trek in 5 years. We finally got it back. Weekly, I know the Calvin movies were in there, but they weren't the same. I'm not even talking about the content of the movies. As I said in 2006, I'm just talking about the fact that they were movies, not weekly episodes, not small screen adventures, not extended stories, which is Star Trek's first best destiny, if you ask me. That's why it was created. That's why we're aboard her. So it was great to see this evolution since 2016, which at the time we thought was the end all be all of everything Star Trek. Oh my God, look what all is being done this year. What a sellout convention in Vegas. My God, what could top this? Well, aside from having actual Star Trek back and different flavors of Star Trek, look at what the studio has seized. And yeah, it's all for marketing. It's selling the shows, but look, this is Star Trek. We all pat each other's backs. We wash each other. It's the fan. It's bringing more fans in and reaching a mainstream audience, a more mainstream audience, and bringing more people in. And yes, now we're going into animation and getting older teens, and now hopefully with Prodigy we'll have the kids in, whether or not they were birthed by Trekkie parents or not. It is a strange new world. It's a brave new world. It's an exciting new world, and the barometer is as much about Star Trek Day as anything. Look what has just happened in 5 years. There was nothing happening official in LA except my little party at Lucy's in 2016. And look what we had last week. Locally, live, as well as beaming around the world. Now, that was something. That was something. I wanted to share that. Did you realize what's been going on? Did you see what's been out there? Do you realize what all just happened? One more that's a real feel-good story. Because for the last several months, you may not know his name. I've mentioned him here many times just to try to help with his GoFundMe for medical and housing expenses. But Michael Braveheart was on screen for the last 6 years of Next Generation and the first 2 movies. First with Dr. Pulaski, and then with Gates, with Dr. Crusher, in sickbay as the main go-to nurse you saw, male nurse. Was an ensign at first, then you could see was promoted to lieutenant by the end of the movies. Got a name mentioned at one point, finally, Martinez. Maybe someday we'll have a first name for him. It hasn't been retconned in a novel somewhere. But Michael Braveheart, he was the ideal candidate to be a Portal 47 member. I'd never talked to him back in the day. We'd never done an interview. But when I started Portal 47 and wanted to hear the backstagers' insights and stories, and yes, texture, for the total Star Trek experience, which is what Portal is all about, I finally reached out, got in touch with him after we'd talked back and forth for a day, because he was living back in New York. Come to find out, he was really having some health issues. He'd been fine until the pandemic, had some chronic heart issues, and then got into housing issues. And just the pandemic and, Ubering everywhere, not drive. Anyway, he was in dire straits, even with assistance, and started a GoFundMe campaign that we found out about and tried to help boost. Well, he's upped his total a couple of times. We have been talking about it off and on in my channels the last few years, and most of the people who've donated to him have been Trek folks. And he may have a trouble now, but he's always responded in kind with a note. Sometimes he's even sent a little memento from his Trek days to the donors early on. He may run out of things, though, because here's the last thing that I want to make sure you saw happening this week, because it's such a feel-good story. So his birthday was actually September 11th. He and a ton of Trek folks had birthdays on September 11th. A slight redemption for an otherwise sad day, aside from my stepdaughter's birthday is the 11th. So we're used to this, and we're used to seeing, the good come with days. But Michael's health issues, I know, were tinging that. He turned 71. He's back in LA. His GoFundMe's helping out a little, but I knew, and all the donors are Star Trek folks. So on wishing him a birthday on my socials, I mentioned the GoFundMe campaign. Well, a couple days later, look what happens. Now, other than his old boss, the good Dr. Beverly, Gates McFadden retweeted our birthday message and said she was sorry to hear she was making a donation, and was really sweet. It was really sweet about it. Well, you know what happened, though? Since she retweeted this and pointed it out, well, there's been nearly 150 people come, anything from $5 to another 100 or 200, all kinds of 20s and 50s. It's all good. It's all good. His total was barely at half of his goal, and then it was under. He's gone from, well, I don't know. Let's see. I did this an hour ago. Maybe it's higher now. He's up to now $4,600 toward his 7,000 goal, where he had been at about 2,500 24 hours ago. It's just amazing. It just, it's all what I always say. There's a lot of them out there, but you just have to find the right doctor sometimes. No, it's an amazing story. I know he's heartened. He hasn't responded online yet. I don't know if he's even seen. I was going to email Michael here in a little bit, but this is all just blown up in the last day or so. It's just really heartwarming, and it shows you the power of what some blue check folks have over some of the rest of us. Anyway, so very sweet, very wonderful of Gates to done that herself and to boosted the signal. Right. So it's, if you want to go find it, it's GoFundMe, Michael Braveheart, just the way it sounds, Brave and Heart. It's his last name. Actually, it's Friends of Michael Braveheart is the campaign. And it's just amazing that this is basically doubled in the last day and a half. Just a really good feel-good story. The bottom line is I hope Michael's feeling good. He just needs some therapy, some healings, a little housing assistance. He taught acting and did everything himself, which went out the window in the pandemic, and everything just kind of spiraled a little bit there on him. So great story, wonderful moment there. That's the good side of social media. That's the power of that's the power of infinite diversity. That's the power of the Star Trek family doing good. So I just wanted to point that out. That was a little story that hasn't had time to percolate up on top of all these other ones. Yeah. Do you realize what all just happened, Star Trek? It's crazy. It's crazy. And we're almost due for the wrap up of this. We're halfway through the Lower Decks season now even. And by all promises and accounts, it's going to get crazy, even topping the way first season ended. So we can't wait for that too. So good on Gates. And we're hanging in there for you, Michael. We're going to get you as a guest on Portal yet, Michael. We are. And good on the entire Star Trek community. So much stuff happening here. And it's not even show driven. So hopefully it's not the same old you're getting everywhere when you come in here to Trekland Tuesdays Live. Okay. We're going to sign off here for the first half of the show, but I will be back with the Parrot Analytics and the top 10 ratings here in the States, and we'll get to the chat, okay? But I just want to say, again, thanks to our Patreons, right? The TTL Club, Blaze K, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, Anne-Marie Siegel, Keith Rombach, Justin Porteous, Nathaniel Robinson, and J.R. Poole. Thank you, folks. And our live wires, Rusty Harrell, Halbjord Gunn Johnson, Jalen Bullock, Robert McLean, Alan Hohensi, and Casey Shafsky. Thanks so much, guys, gals, and peeps. If you want to jump into, it's very simple, patreon.com/Trekland Live. $5, $10. I have a very simple Patreon. Get in by the end of the month. They bill you. It's a shout out from me and access to some of our earlier Portal 47 interviews. Yes, I know. I'm going to get to those as soon as I'm back from, and I did not print out the sign, Salt Lake. FanX Salt Lake, the con formerly known as Salt Lake Comic-Con, is this weekend. Back live and in full glory, totally masked and totally, whether you're vaccinated or not, and showing signs, but everybody being masked. This will be interesting as well. A lot of folks have been going on. Vegas happened, and then Sci-Fi Summit Creation in New Jersey. Rose City Comic-Con happened in Portland. There are more on the way. We will see. We will see as we creep back into this, okay? As we do that, just a reminder that the Trek Files is back this week. A new guest, somebody you've read his words for years. You've rarely heard him unless you've been in person, say at Vegas. Can't wait for you to get over and Ian. I always want to say Ian Fleming. No, Ian Spelling, the longtime editor, former editor of StarTrek.com. I've known him since the Companion days when he had a syndicated column, and I thought that was awesome for Star Trek. He's our guest this week, talking about his first interview that we found in the Trek Files with Gene from 1986. It was his third piece to ever sell. Some thoughts about that moment and his new book that's coming out, Star Trek: A Celebration, a 55-year history on the original series with Ben Robinson, coming out from Hero Collector. But check out Trek Files today. It's a new episode, as always, on Tuesdays with your Tuesday Tuvers. It's over at podcasts.roddenberry.com. That's where the paperwork is. That's where the documents are. But you can catch it wherever fine podcasts are caught. Okay? The Trek Files on Facebook, that is the hub. And of course, Saturday, we have a day off on Life Support Live this week. Dr. Ali and Dr. Trek. One of us is a real doctor, but we'll be boldly going through uncertain times a week from Saturday. But this Sunday is a fill-in Zoomy chatty thing led by our moderator, Jared. So if you go over to the Facebook page, all the info is there. It's kind of a substitute when Ali and I don't do a live show on a Saturday. We did our Sunday show because of schedules. We started this thing in the pandemic, guys, and who knew that people would actually be having to do other things eventually on Saturdays. Next week, we're off for me being at FanX Salt Lake, and Ali has a work commitment. So the meetup Zoom chat from all of our lifers, whoever wants to come by, check out the page. You can get all the ID there for that, for a fill-in. Then we will be back Saturday at 10 a.m., the Saturday after that. Hey, everybody. Other than that, it's just at Larry Nemechek on Twitter. I'd love to have you join me. I get into other things besides Star Trek there. Football and politics and Will Rogers and what have you. But it's Larry Nemechek's Trekland, as you found out now on YouTube and Facebook. And yes, Instagram too. Doing a lot more. We're building out the channels. So thanks to everybody for helping with that. If you enjoyed today the way I go at Star Trek, join us in the portal, portal47.net. It is like a mini con all year long. We were doing virtual meetups and events and communication and community long before the pandemic. But the portal is way more than just Zoom meetups, right? We're digging and finding those folks like Michael, hopefully, like all those folks back there. All those folks who made Star Trek what it is. For all the Star Trek you have no idea that you have no idea about. Okay. That's it for now. If you're leaving us on YouTube, I just want to please ask you, plead with you. Stay healthy. Do all the things. Stay woke. Keep your mind open to the things you haven't learned yet, to the fact that who you're chatting with may be a troll. Don't waste your time. Check the sources of everything. Most of all, Trek well, everybody. All right. I want to see what everybody's talking about. Did I stir anything up? Is this the most bizarre online format ever from 5 years ago now, almost 4 years ago? But first, let's look at the parrots, okay? If my pad is cooperating, I think it is. Boom. It's been a little sketchy today. But the parrot analytics, for those of you who might be new, and I hope there's some of you out there, parrots, something we've been following for 12 years, company out of New Zealand, moved to the States. They found a way to measure, by some measure, an algorithm they call the average demand expression. It's the expression online. They're looking at demand for shows by who's talking and how much. And yeah, they include fans, they include the promotional corporate stuff, and criticals, right? Critical reviews and essays. So it's all there, good, bad, and indifferent, but it's all about demand. And they do this in many countries, dozens of countries around the world. We're looking at the top 10 in the US, which they post at their site. Nothing special to me. We got into this because Star Trek went there, right? So no need for old-time commercial rates to be set with commercials when you've got digital streamers. So the Nielsen's are trying to get into this market, but they're still not measuring all the networks, and we need to check up on see what's happening with that. But this week in the digital onlys, no, Picard and Discovery all managed to break into the top 10 in first run when they're live premiering first time. Lower Decks never has, but it's consistently been in the upper 2.5%. We'll get into that in a second. But this week's top 10 starts off with a surprise. It's La Casa de Papel, Money Heist. It's Spanish language original dubbed. It zoomed for its fifth season. It's at 51.5%. It came out of nowhere, out of down below and up to number one and bumped Titans. So 51 0.5 times more popular than the average show, the way they rate these now. Average show being the middle 3/4 of the spectrum, okay? As the way they measure it, of popularity, right? So Titans, 44.4 times more popular than Stranger Things, Ted Lasso, The Mandalorian, Lucifer on an upswing, Loki, The Handmaid's Tale, WandaVision, and 9 Perfect Strangers. So I'm always amazed at when there are older shows with a new season, totally new hit shows, and the mix that they had. 9 Perfect Strangers winds up at 26.8 times more popular. That's the number 10 show. But just to say then, overall, there's only 3 of those digitals in the top 10. SpongeBob is back at number 1 at 76.7 times more popular than an average show. Then Rick and Morty, Walking Dead, then Money Heist. My Hero Academia, Billions, which is new. Saturday Night Live, Titans. Oh, and R.I.P. Norm Macdonald, if you go back that far. Remember when he was always kind of a challenging comedian, but it was the kind that I like being challenged by. So R.I.P. Norm Macdonald today. Saturday Night Live, then Titans, Game of Thrones, and Stranger Things rounding out the overall top 10. Looking at Lower Decks, though, like what has the buzz around Lower Decks translated into Parrot's system? Well, in the last 30 days, it's showing 16.7 times more popular than average show. So below the top 10, but it's probably in the lower second 10 or just below that. It's still very much in the outstanding bar, right? 2.7%, the top 2.7% of all shows. The change in demand over the last 30 days is now up 36.3%. That's a big spike. And the plateau over the last 60 days keeps staying steady and growing. So that's good. And it is 98.2% more popular than any other animation in the US. So Lower Decks ain't going anywhere. They're all doing really well. They're just outside of the top 10, maybe in the middle to lower top 20. So it's not going anywhere. Just because they're not turning up in Parrot's top 10 does not mean that Lower Decks isn't getting a lot of attention. It is, and it's awesome. And that said, let us look and see what's happening in the chat. I hope everybody's doing well. Hope some of that was news to somebody. I riffled through a lot of stories there, which I usually don't do. But I wanted to cover some ground there. There's been so much happening and flying by so fast, and people got all excited over the headlines from Star Trek Day. And Enar as a character being portrayed by a blind actor. Is that not just insanely amazing or what? I can't wait to dive in with everybody responsible for those choices and seeing where they went. If it was all Akiva, or if it came out of the group at the beginning, the think tank, or anything came from Alex, or whatever. So, hey, chatters, let's see who all's here today. If you are new, I will try to give you a shout out, or haven't been in a while. And I'm looking, my goodness, Mr. Dan Gunther's with us today. Hey, Dan. At least at the very beginning, right? Like 30, 40 minutes ago. Thanks to everybody. There's Alan. Hey, Alan, thanks for being a Patreon. Dan, there was something in the closed captioning Nun and Hyphen song. There's nothing funnier than trying to watch Star Trek with the captions on. It's like getting a transcription. You know that. It's watching the captions try to do Star Trek words is a little wacky. Yeah. Oh, and look, I'm getting big enough that I'm getting spam in the chat. How nice. Yeah, Cairo. Emmy award-winning discovery. It's as good a reason as any. Hey, Marina, I'm glad you did. Good to see you, girl. I'm still waiting to hear how Sci-Fi Summit went. Yeah, Paramount/CBS is the other way to say it. For what seems like the last decade. Oh, okay. Well, that was a hedge. I just remember it took years for people, old timers, to stop saying Paramount this and Paramount that, because it had always been Paramount. Nobody had to say Desilu when you were mad at Desilu, because Desilu was the little sacrificial lamb that got consumed. At the time of the first mail campaign, it was all about NBC being the bad guy, right? Hey, where's my badge? Oh, the ones you made. I don't know. I don't have them. Someone didn't get them to me at Vegas. Rusty. Hey, Dr. Dave. Yes, that was pretty awesome. Again, it made me think not just how much things had improved since the virtual days or just doing some video promotions. That's all just been the last 2, 3, 4 years. The next year before Discovery, 2017 was the first time they jumped in with that one promotion, maybe more than one. And then 18, 19, 20 has been a progression, but this year shows the and I have heard from sources that had this not been pandemic, had the Delta variant not reared its ugly head, there was a much bigger live event planned, but it all had to be scaled back because Delta came back, because some people can't do what the doctors tell them. I don't know what radically is different about this that's so different than anything else we've done, or the polio in the 50s, or anything else, or the other near pandemics that happened in Africa. Thank God Africa wasn't populated by half of America, or we would be all dealing with Ebola by now. Wow, two spams in the chat here today. There you go, John X. You're a guy with numbers. Over 1.1 million on Twitter and double what it was last year on YouTube. The Picard trailer had 14.5 million views. There you go, Mr. Data Technician. That's true. Creation did that convention over the weekend. But again, if you weren't at that convention, and that was not the dominant convention, right? Vegas was still the big thing. Mission New York was trying to be a fill-in. I haven't really heard you talk much about that one, Marina, and you're the convention queen. I wanna hear about that a little more. How big it was, really. But it was great that they actually planned one on the weekend. I'd forgotten about that. But as far as what people could do as a joint mob in America, much less around the world, it felt very weird. It just felt weird to come to September 8th and have nothing to do. So we came up with something. Yes, Star Trek. I'm not saying they didn't have events. Star Trek Beyond was out 5 years ago, but there wasn't, the event was the premiere, which was a big deal, the premiere at Comic-Con. And not only was it a big deal, it was a big deal for Comic-Con. Star Trek had been so empty, had been so absent from San Diego, the mecca there, the king, the apex of what all the franchises came to parade and show off their wares. Star Trek had been so out of that for years because there was no new Star Trek. That was a huge deal. And that wasn't even with anything new to show. Discovery was a year away, but they had a big panel, they had a big presence, and they were able to premiere them. Paramount, in the pre-remerger days, was able to premiere the movie at least. And that was a big deal down there, yes. But it badly promoted, nobody noticed. And I kind of feel about that. Kind of like the way Nemesis went down. But yes, by the time the 8th rolled around to September, it was like, okay. So yeah, if you were in Chicago, good on you. But yes. The Portal 47 badge is on my collar. Yes, I try to do that. Hi, Rose. I'm glad you could be with us today. Justin, to you, it'll always be just Paramount. No bloody Viacom, CBS, or Plus. And I've lost track of whose birthday we're talking about here, but there you go. Oh, you were the 13th then, Cairo? Very good, Robert. Okay. P+. P+ doesn't sound so bad. Yeah, maybe. Absolutely. Yay, Gates. What a great bit. Well, they worked alongside for a long time. Oh, it's up. It's up to 46.23 because everybody loves. What did I have? It had gained. Somebody went $15 after I did that. Yes, Ian does rock. He's a veteran like some of the rest of us, and I told him, you'll hear on the Trek Files, I said he went so many years without a byline because he was writing most of the stories for StarTrek.com. I've been there. I worked at a weekly paper where I basically wrote everything, but if I had my byline on everything, even the things that were worth having a byline on, it would look ridiculous. So, plus he tells another angle to why that was too, so that the angle was not about him, but about the story. But there comes a time when that's also the thinking that keeps writers underpaid to a certain point, even in Hollywood, even when they're screenwriters. See Mank. In fact, that's an issue. Speak of the devil. Here's some scuttlebutt. Keep your eye. This has not gone much beyond Hollywood, but if you go look, IATSE, International Association of Theatrical and Scenic Employees, I think. It's the union for all the trades below writers, directors, and actors. For most of them, not visual effects. I mean, everybody has their own sub-guild. Like prop people have a guild, the hair and makeup people have a guild. But IATSE is a big, the grips and the lighting guys and all of that. And there's strike talk because not so much about some of the issues coming out of the pandemic and about job security and safety and respect and credit, and not all money issues. And they may resolve things. It's between them and the scuttlebutt I hear is that the writers and directors would support them. And that maybe some of this is the whole culture of when you see a show, the actors represent the show. And that's true. You pay them big bucks to carry it, but the work is done by so many more people besides them. And, we're not negating the impact made by actors, but this even comes down to cons too. This is me wanting to have tech cons, wanting to have behind the scenes cons. So I finally invented Portal 47. I was tired of not being able to hear all those insights and issues, even producers and writers taking second billing. Anyway, there's scuttlebutt. We may have, and it may be a strike that shuts down production. It's out there. If you go investigate around some of the boards and look at some of the trending Twitter topics, you may stumble into it. Or just Google that, IATSE strike, and see what's going on later in September. It may come out of nowhere all of a sudden. People say, where'd this come from? It's been bubbling. They've been negotiating. And, hopefully they'll avoid something as severe as a strike, just as we're coming out of the pandemic. But the pandemic, like so much else in life, the pandemic ripped a Band-Aid off and exposed so many iniquities. Yeah. So there's a hot tip for everybody. Keep an eye on that. We may have more to say about that if something goes that direction, right? Okay. Dan, you wish you could get a doctorate in Trek. It's the one PhD I figured I actually have a chance at. Well, just have very persuasive fans when the world is all in shambles. That's how I got my doctorate. Yes. Oh, I forgot to say this. Yes, Brian Yaphet from Orville, which is why it was easy. It was good to be the voice. I wonder if they record. I don't know. Hey, Kaylin. I recently slept with... Okay. Boy, I got suckered into that one, didn't we? Didn't I? Yeah, I'd yeah. Okay, we'll move right along there. Thank you, Captain Calvin. Oh. Interesting stuff popping into the chat today. Yeah. Interesting stuff. Hello, Kez. I think you've been with us before, Kez, but there we go. Interesting chat today. Roger Noriega. Hey, one of my earliest podcast invitations way back 10, 11 years ago. Roger, it's always a pleasure to see you and talk with you. You should promote the podcast in here, whatever it's because you keep evolving it. So sound off here and let everybody know where it is, what you're doing. Yeah, Glenn, I'm with you. I was hoping to see a Stranger Worlds trailer. I'm really hoping that people are anxious for it now. And they've wrapped their season now. Now they'll have some weeks of post, obviously. But if we have to wait until late spring next year, right? If Discovery is 10 weeks starting in October and basically runs to the new year, and then Picard starts in January, and it's not until April, which seems an eternity away, March or April. We'll see. We'll see. All good things are worth waiting for, right? Hey, Marcello. Good to see you. Oh, yes, I know. We interviewed for a podcast, and then you're holding on to it for a year or something. It's your show. But it was great to talk to you too. No, you're amazing. No, you're amazing. Oh, Melanie, sure. I'll let you do a shout out to say no on the recall today. But if you lost your mail ballot, don't worry. Just go down and vote normal like you would. Hopefully you can do that. Please, please do. This is interesting. The Lost Voyage, yeah. All the unmade scripts. Some of those were just story ideas, or they were just story docs. They were never like a script. And some of them were spec scripts that were, submitted and taken, and then not, but they were not filmable. They may have needed help. There's a reason why they weren't made. Sometimes just the clock ran out. Like at the end of sometimes it was just timing. Oh, we just bought that idea. Or the clock ran out on the 7th season. Maybe get them as a repackage. So kind of pull a phase 2 into next gen. Is that what you mean? Right? Like Devil's Due. And what was the other one? Oh, The Child. The Child and Devil's Due were originally phase 2 scripts. Here we go. My first report on Sci-Fi Summit. Thank you, Marina. It was a great throwback to small cons. Only in an expo center rather than a hotel. Very relaxed, small crowd. I saw the photos. I saw how the Picard Disco and Picard actors kind of hanging out together, going around, seeing all of my Roddenberry pod companions, compatriots, Women at Warp and Priority One. Very nice collectibles and a tiny vendor room. Familiar locals, some you hadn't seen in years. Well, good. There we go. Well, you know what? Rebecca will let you in anyway. Yay. Can we still check our fists at Gulf and Western? Does Gulf and Western still exist? Dum 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 dum. Oh, and for all of you globalists, the full 3.5 hour Star Trek Day show. I know, I thought about STDs. Remember the Discovery hoo-ha about that? The full show is finally on YouTube geo-free. Yay. Not that meh player on internationalstartrek.com. So there you go, everybody. Very good. Okay, boy. Dan, I know. I think I'm making sense about vaccines and the panic. Don't say anything if I get too popular, if I ever bust out past beyond 1,500 subscribers, I'll get shut down, apparently. Too much fact. Whatever you do, don't get 100 friends to all come and subscribe to my channel. That would be horrible. Yeah. We got into this the game late. Okay, Captain Cat. Now, this is a German perspective, I know, but you're saying people who can't wear their mask properly, failed to wear their mask, and the German, okay, is behaving. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Hello? Oh, yeah. Well, Nicki Minaj apparently is something weird about, anyway. You know, and I know that you know that I know that. Yep. John, Paramount Plus took off the original live video and then posted them all up separately days later. But I think the YouTube still has, I was just telling somebody, YouTube still had, at least for the States, not geo-blocked, the YouTube Star Trek stream still had the whole live thing. The big difference between Nemesis and Beyond is that, aside from squeezed by promotional choices, is that Beyond was actually a good movie, the best of the Kelvin films. I didn't mind Nemesis. I'm going to go back and watch Nemesis again, but Star Trek Beyond sold the fourth most tickets worldwide of the 13 Trek movies. The problem is the other two prior Trek movies sold more tickets. And then what? The motion picture? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I see I'm not alone, but we don't need to get into a movies debate here. Who was responsible for the franchise canceled? Well, the franchise was never canceled. It's still here. I mean, they're going to sell toys and games and action figures and costumes. For a long time, Viacom Consumer Products was the only thing actively doing anything of Star Trek. So, you know, John and Marion and the little cluster there out of CBS was the only thing actively happening, especially the years that the website was shut down. But then that came back finally when licensing got a hold of it from Interactive and opened the doors again. It had been locked and just sitting there, everything getting dusty and rusty. What happened to Playmates? I don't know. I have not checked in with them. Exactly. You probably wrote this before I said it, but that's exactly true. 5,000 people, maybe, is what I heard through the grapevine. But yeah, the Delta variant. Yeah. Thanks, anti-vaxxers, anti-maskers. Thanks for shrinking Star Trek Day. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, who said this? Melanie. Many years ago, you heard there was a college course on Star Trek. Melanie, there had been many college courses on Star Trek, just like this, hooking it to an issue, whether it was sociology, right, or marketing, pop culture studies, law, sciences, pick a science, politics, right, diplomacy. There's hardly a field of study that you can't have fun and also learn something. I've heard people have even made podcasts out of like daily psychology and Star Trek. Go figure. No, we have friends that the legal eagles have used sci-fi, including Trek. Right. Yeah, the online event is getting better. Well, that's how you can make it worldwide and global. That's awesome. Oh, hey, Toddy, do we overlap? I'm so sorry about that. I've been doing this at 1:00 Tuesday since 2017. So I was going to do Tuesdays or Thursdays for the alliteration, and I realized I was traveling on Thursdays. So a lot of times. So Tuesday it was. Even before the Trek Tuesdays that Bill and Dan did over at Trek Geeks. I think I beat that by a few weeks as things started to blossom in 2017. Let's see what else. Did I say scuttlebutt? It's scuttlebutt, by the way, but that's okay. There you go. What's going on here? Yes. RIP Norm MacDonald. Yes. Yofit was the Blob. Exactly. Now maybe they'll have a Norm MacDonald impersonator keep the voice going. We'll see. We'll see if they get it. Did he get all of his lines recorded for the infamous season 3 that took 30 years? We'll see. Cake is eternal. You'd better believe it. If we can figure out a way to do that, we should do that. Didn't I do one of your shows one time? I don't know. Well, Kez, you just keep dropping in whenever you can. We'll take you. Okay. Ken, don't I think there maybe will be an SNW, a Strange New Worlds at Comic-Con New York? Maybe. I have to think that if there's something really definitive, they would have saved it for now. That's only another month, right? Less than a month. So I would have thought they would have shot their wad on their own turf. There's a metaphor, sorry. I would have thought they'd save that for their own show. But maybe they want some crumbs to parcel out. They did the huge casting and character reveal. Now, they did the character reveal before. I mean, the casting reveals already happened months ago. That's when I knew. That's when I was almost certain the one actor was playing Mabenga. But yeah, Uhura and Cadet Uhura and the Chapel. That'll be some interesting textured trivia there. Did Chapel work on the ship and then transfer away and then come back? Or did we just not see her? I thought they make a big point about her being on the Enterprise to go find Roger Corby. We will see. We will see. Or if she's talking about Roger while she's a junior nurse in Strange New Worlds. Because we're only talking about 5, 6, 7 years earlier than first few seasons of original series. First season would be 66 and 9, 10, 9, the 0, the 1 years. So it's all pretty compressed when you get to it. At least that bridge looks a ton more like the real bridge, or the dumbed down kiddie version of the bridge, which is what I think TOS is going to be seen as. Sadly, but it may just be the inevitability of it all. Damn popular show hangs around 50 years for these issues to come up. Why couldn't it just been dropped and everybody go away with their simplistic looks in the 70s and the 80s? This is what I saw. There was no date out of Star Trek Day. People saying February-ish. So we'll see. So Dan, where was that announced? I was looking for that the other day. Maybe it was off again. And I'm rounding off anyway. I'm rounding off. It threw me that they were overlapping. It threw me that they were overlapping with Prodigy anyway, but maybe they're just seeing that as you can keep up. There we go. What, did I say the wrong thing? November 18th for Disco coming? Did I say the wrong date? I have it right here. There you go. Thank you, Roger. You took me up on it. Always, when they invite you to do it, always jump in and promote. NBD Media, and there you go. Everybody give Roger, he has a big variety of stuff. What? Let's see. Oh, I get it. Okay. They won't allow mail-in voters to vote in person? Really? I thought there was provision. Can you not even do a provisional ballot while they check? I mean, I get is some of that's to prevent people from mailing one in and then double voting. I get it, but I thought you could vote provisionally and then they would check to see. And if your mail-in ballot never shows up, then they'll take the live ballot that you cast. I thought California is a place where they want people to vote. They want everybody to vote, and they want to go out of their way to make it easy. You get a mail-in ballot. Do you mail it back? Do you drop it off? Do you drop it off early? Do you drop it off on the day of? So, Melanie, you might check. I think they might let you vote provisionally so that they can check to see, which is why it takes so long nowadays to get the totals added up finally, because they've made it so many channels for people to, but they still have fraud protections in. They will check to make sure you're not double voting, but they'd rather err on the side of giving you a chance to do it as long as they can check, rather than just upfront saying, nope, sorry, we don't know, you might be double or triple voting. How do we know what you're doing? They give you the chance, and then they rely on the system to make sure you didn't. Barcodes and all. Oh, Dan, you expect me to actually watch the thing? See, nobody actually said it. It was a visual. Okay, I missed that. But thankfully, the rest of the world didn't. I was on other things. Well, Tim, I know I would love to have seen Dr. Boyce too. He might have retired. I think he retired. Mabinga was there, and then Mabinga has time to move on. I know. But Tim, come on. Texture, not trivia. Whatever it is what it is. And now it's the fun thing of figuring out why. I would love for Mabinga to have known Spock in these years and then have a transfer out and then come back. That would be after McCoy. If Mabinga had been there for a year and a half and we just never saw him, I would have, he would have been demoted by Piper and McCoy. So I would rather Mabinga have transferred out and then things ramping up so much that, especially after Amok Time, I would love for Mabinga to have been after Amok Time and Journey to Babel and things getting really insane with Spock for some reason. He's number 2 billing. Oh, okay, we need a specialist back. But I want Mabinga to not be there just as Spock's personal slave doctor. He's there to serve the whole crew, but he's there to assist with the intricacies of Vulcan medicine. I would love, this series is going to have to deal with why there was nothing about Ponfar. There was nothing about a lot of Vulcan medical procedures after 200 years of contact and 100 years of Federation co-founding. That's all. I've always loved that, but I've always textured, not trivia, that is exactly how bizarre the Vulcans are. They're not this monolithic, happy, dappy, peaceful folks. There's a lot of issues, and Sarek's issues that have been evolving as we know about them are it's totally fine that Sarek is not like a one-off. He's got some weird issues of his own. Just because Vulcans suppress their emotions and don't show them doesn't mean they're not without their own layers of texture. So I want to know what Mabinga knew about Vulcan medicine and physiology. And then, yes, he can leave. And hopefully, did Piper come in just with Kirk? Or was Piper aboard before Kirk came aboard? Because obviously some other character, Spock is there, much less a few other characters. So it's going to be interesting to see. And will they play with all that adequately? I mean, people are all dancing around about whether they'll have a young Kirk visiting at some point, but there's all the other characters, Scotty and Sulu. Anyway, there's a lot of fun stuff to play with. And I feel like if the right people are doing it, but I know the underling writers who were in the panel last year on Star Trek Day were all so verklempt about being old fans and getting to write the shows now. Kayla Cooper's one. I know her from her active social channels, but I'm really trusting this bunch to weave it in and out, just as excited as they made everybody seeing the character reveals on top of the actor reveals. Well, of course, Ian's a great guest. And I'm saying Ian has been behind the 8 ball so much. He's been the hidden voice. It's all been the people he's interviewed. And you can't interview that many people for that long without having some of your own texture to share with the world. Yeah. Oh, Glenn, you have an actual question. Hello. Boom. There we go. Do I have any idea how many externally submitted Star Trek episode scripts were purchased but remain unused? I have lots of copies of this now, at least in the next gen era and into Voyager. I have a ton of weekly script status reports because they would buy scripts and they'd be being worked on, and eventually they'd give up on them at times. Some things they bought and nobody ever went back to them. Now, they weren't spendthrifts. They didn't buy tons of stories and scripts. And some, they would buy a premise from an obviously amateur writer who they didn't even think was going to put a story together, or they had an idea and they didn't like the story built around the idea, but they bought the idea. And they said, here's $500. Thank you. We're buying the premise, the theme of it. And they have those, and they have the stories that they bought knowing they would rewrite. And then they have the scripts that they bought because they were submitted as a script maybe, or they were a professional script that came over. So I don't know if you mean Berman era with the script submissions open, because Enterprise, that was closed for Enterprise, but it ran through Next Gen, DS9, and Voyager. So you're talking the 21 years worth of seasons, 21 seasons worth, -2, because the first 2 years, well, you know what? They might have had some bot scripts even before Michael opened up the thing. They may have had bot scripts from other professional writers. So I'll still say 21 seasons worth. I don't know, maybe 3, 4, 5 a season. Maybe. I should ask Janet or Lolita that. Some of them have surfaced, right? People talk about the script they bought and they didn't use. People have pieced that back together, but it's about like identifying extras. When people show up and say, that was me, and then the world knows, and it's cataloged on Memory Alpha now. But my rough guess is maybe 3, because they didn't spend money willy-nilly, but they were covering their asses, like hoping they had something to go to. Even if they had to totally do a page 1 rewrite, they at least had an idea that they liked. So I'm going to say maybe 5 a year, which would be 150. I don't know, probably not that many. Between 100 and 150, maybe. I'll see. Well, that's a good topic to get back to. Thank you for an actual question, Glenn. There is the Star Trek II spec, the one that opened up with the Destroyer Enterprise and Scotty went to Munich. Yeah, we're talking about not the Star Trek II. Well, there's been many Star Trek IIs. I don't know what you're talking about. The two of Genes, which we're going to get to someday in the Trek Files, as soon as I can figure out how to wrap our arms around them and how to have it be guested out. Yeah, or are you talking about the Kelvin? That would have been 3, though, that Orsi's bunch wrote. Or what do you mean? We'll see. A nice bonus to get the actual, yes, and to figure out they're going to overlap the way they're doing it now. What are you saying here? I can't vote in German, but all Germans know Innsbruck already did. Oh, there you go. Thank you for the no on recall from Austria there, Christoph. What is it? Armin Laschet and Olaf Scholz? Germanic, I was good. That was another ethnic group that I got into there that I plowed in before I was ready. That's true. Many times a spec script just got you in the door to come pitch some more rather than, right, exactly. Well, there you go. There you go. Everybody has an opinion. We could talk about the movies all day long. Hello, Daniel C.O. It has been a while. C.O.? Cheo? I never think I ask, but good to see you back joining with us again. Great. Nemesis is the most underrated movie in the franchise. Could be. Wrath of Khan the most overrated? Really? I know, filtering out the sentimentality. the relief factor after motion picture. I don't know. Some people might think it's overrated, but I don't know if it was the most overrated even. Oh, Melanie, you were at Stockton Con all weekend. There you go. 1,000 people. It was only 90 on Saturday, 92 on Sunday. Well, good. I hope everybody was acting safe. Hope there's no spike in Stockton there. Well, see, some people damn a movie calling it just a TV episode. Of course, have people seen TV lately? We're talking 90s Berman era here, but yeah. Unfortunately, Nathan, yes. Nathaniel will be thanking, quotes, anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers for years. Yeah, for prolonging all this. Now, what are you saying here? All the successful Star Trek movies were everything but Trek movies, at least not according to the idea of explore stranger worlds. Yeah, like routine missions that turn big. When they think they have to go blockbuster and epic for a movie, and it has to be a save the world, save the galaxy. Yeah, which is what Michael was trying to do with Insurrection. Go explore some new folks. Actually, he was going to do a takeoff on going upriver with Romulans. Very excited by the first look of. Yeah, they've tweaked all kinds of things. The uniforms, the bridge modules. It's just another bridge module. That's all it is. What? There is a stream on psychology and Star Trek? You're sure it's a fake? Yeah. Oh, okay. I promise I will not be worried. Okay. All right, Glenn. But it's been the same-ish. It's been the same-ish every week. I didn't start somewhere else. Hey, William, you go right ahead. I'm glad that you can find Star Trek toys, much less that you can find a Toys R Us. Really? Either one? Good deal. Okay. It's all timey-wimey. Yeah, today I was going to really be on the spot, and I had tech issues with this little sucker. It's getting flaky on me. Yep. Let's see. Scuttle. You heard it here first. Scuttlebuck could be a new character in Section 31. Yes. Yeah, I know, Cairo. Everyone's telling me again now. It's fine. I missed that at the end. I was watching it live. I did it live, and I haven't rewatched that one. I'd seen it twice, I feel like, live. You know what? I've never had anyone tell me write a scene where the character gets shot in the larynx. But it makes total sense. Oh, it's not showing up. You wrote so long. This is such a long paragraph, Captain Calvin. Yeah, your example of shoot the character in the larynx and then you can change the voice actor. Thank you, Narda. Thank you. Even in the outback, you're already socially distanced, but still. Yes, everybody. See, you can always depend on the chat stream to either save your butt or show you up. So, or both at the same time. The new transporter design for Strange New Worlds, it went right past me. It's in the background, but it's everything about Strange New Worlds is a huge step closer back to original series. Still kind of big and fat and poofy, but oh well. Some would say it's just plywood on the original series. Yes. Yes, Toddy, then you should promote too. Trek on the Tube. Yes. I would do more explainer videos too, but I just don't know where to start. And I need the patience and I need the time to be cloned. Oh, Captain Calvin. It's actually very simple, but I think I should just lean on somewhere between CNN and news media, and everybody else in the chat can tell you what's going on. You know what, Tim? Me too. Me too. I want Shouty Spock, which they've alluded to. Akiva Goldsman and even talked about, did they talk about Shouty Spock or Smiley Spock? Either way. Either way. There we go. Yes. Well, speaking of that, Dan, there was a whole thing in the invitation for live attendance of a second health questionnaire you were supposed to take, and no one saw it because it was buried. And people were all showing up at the check-in with your main vaccination record digitally in clear, and I kept saying, "And do you have the second health questionnaire from CBS?" No. What second health questionnaire? Oh, well, it was finally after about 8 or 10 people, I heard them saying, "Well, it was buried in the bottom part of the email." It was funny. Dr. Mabenga would know about hitting Spock. Yep. Well, it's going to be the head of Star. It's a good excuse for every other doctor on Star Trek. Now we're into the Mabenga chapter of the show. Who knew there was going to be so much about this? But it's cool. I mean, over the years, I've thought about that. It's like, did Mabenga just hang around for when Spock had an ailment or got shot or something, phasered? But the fact that he was around apparently as the CMO for Pike and then left. I mean, it was interesting enough to go from Boyce to Piper, but that was 10 years between Boyce and Piper that we saw. So, okay, let's see. Maybe Vulcans are assholes. Could be. Could be. I suppose we're going to learn all about all of this. Yeah, and if I call Mabenga a Vulcan doctor, that's not what I'm. It's like Klingon actor. I don't mean that they're a Klingon. I mean they're a human playing a Klingon actor. I mean he's a human being a Vulcan specialist. Well, maybe that's why Mabenga is so special, is that he's a Vulcan specialist. And McCoy's no dummy, obviously, but that McCoy, like most other doctors in Starfleet training at the time, didn't get that much about Vulcan speciality. Excuse me. I'm going to leave the politics to you guys in the chat, okay? A dream or parallel universe with all three Uhuras? Well, that would be interesting, but you could do that with any of the original cast. So that would be interesting. Yeah. McCoy is an expert on xenobiology. He's solved many medical miracles. He saved their asses in a muck time, right? Yep, Dan. I mean, this is a piece of texture that we could layer in about some of these odd questions, aside from just thinking the Vulcans are assholes, holding out on the rest of the Federation. Exactly. That's a good analogy. I was totally had it in my head without it, but this just does nothing but add to it. Yes. Thank you, Narda. Narda has her hashtag stack. Yeah. Yeah, the Strange New World actress. Yes. Hey, Willie, glad you could make it. Yay. I mean, the world will keep spinning for you, hopefully. So, but glad you could always make it. Well, Captain Calvin, here's the thing. They're only doing 10, 12 episodes a year. They barely got enough so that all those 82 people on staff have one slot when they team up and pair up. I mean, it's sad, but this is not the kind of world where freelance writers, third-party writers have any kind of a market. If you look at all the stories and scripts, they're all even more so than before. Yeah. And there you go. Celia Rose Gooding. Boom. Well, never say never. They could CGI something together, maybe. We would see. We'll see. Maybe they'll have a ceremonial meetup at some point. We'll see. We will see. There may be some news coming yet on some things, but we'll see how that goes. Oh. Well, you're welcome then. Yay. Much easier for me than what I was struggling with a minute ago. Glenn, are you really pulling a people say? Some people say. Okay, so I had it right. CO. Very good. It's what I always thought. Oh, I look, with a name like Nemechek, you don't think I ask people to get their names right, if at all possible? Yeah. It's like, and also asking people to spell their names when we're doing signings. Absolutely. Asking V'ger to play the bass when it assimilates ships. Oh, wait, that's Barney Miller. Sorry. Okay, looking for actual questions, guys. We may be coming to the end of the chat. This is very true. Facebookers don't see Twitch and YouTube comments in their chat, but Twitch and YouTube see everything. Just a note there. That's an idea. That's an idea, yes. Shouty spy. Deflectors, full intensity. Yes. Check the circuit. Wait, what? What have you done? What did you do? What have you done, Robert? Okay, this is on Twitch only? Twitch goes away, doesn't it? Yeah, it's still inflated, but it's far. There's not an outer subway tunnel to the bridge the way there was on Discovery. Discovery had a whole outer. Somebody looked at blueprints and didn't understand that Franz Joseph made an access tunnel back there. I think that's what happened. But that bridge module went away. Yay! After the battle, apparently. Okay, this is just hard to read, Captain Calvin. Just saying that out loud is a little kind of Squidge making, just shoot her in the face. Hey Daniel, have I tried boosting signal to solve the tech issues? Just kidding, but the live stream has been great. Yeah, we had a major turning point solving solution that I'm embarrassed to talk about still, but I took the plastic off the screen because it was blocking air vents at the bottom, and we finally figured out that it was overheating, which is why I was struggling. I'd get 4 or 5 minutes in, and then we started having really bad latency. It was just heating the processor to where it was. It had nothing to do with the stream of anything I was doing. And the minute we realized that, it totally cleared up. So there you go. Yes, Dr. Mark Piper was Paul Fix. Exactly. Oh no, did I freeze? No. Okay, wow, we're still going here. Yeah, Nichelle is where she is. Well, the new Mac was unpacked for 6 months. That was what was bamboozling. Yes. The pandemic is a game that should end, indeed. Yeah. Actually, Narda, thank you, but I've actually gotten more sleep the last 2 or 3 days. That was just getting warm in here, I think. Okay. This is all very true, Glenn. All the platforms have their pluses and minuses. If you want to reach anybody nobody under 20, much less 30, is really on Facebook. So there's that. YouTube is kind of like the great compromiser. And if you're on Twitch, the Twitchers want to wonder why you're not talking to them constantly and where's the game? Oh, Cairo. Really? Gluten-free dog humble life? What? That's interesting. Okay. What was... Oh, Captain Calvin. Most everything is done by union. It's all Writers Guild scales. Now, if something gets into a bidding war, you hear somebody's high dollar script is somehow out there, that's a thing. But that's not going to happen in 99.9% of the cases, and it's sure not going to happen on a weekly TV series. So there were scale. I mean, we got paid. Was it 8,000? I think we got paid 8,000 for our story, but then we split it 2 ways. Yeah, I think we got paid 8,000 for the story for now, and then a script would have, at the time, right, the mid 90s. At the time, I think a story sale was 8,000 and a script was 20,000. That's just the upfront script, and then you got your residuals after that. But it's gone up. It's gone up through at least 2 script revisions to a contract revision since then, at least, if not 3. Well, I know Ed, but I've known Mark for ages. What is the average velocity of an unladen swallow? Very good. Hello, David Allen Stafford. Welcome to Tuesdays Live. If you have not been with us before, I'm not sure, but welcome. Thanks for de-lurking. and for the tech check-in. Let's see. Looking around here for. I think we are at the. Okay, Christoph. Okay. I think it is. I think I'm doing all this without Jared and Scott today, that we're at the end of the chat as we know it. And I hope you feel fine. Yay. Okay, I'm going to do what I always forget to do and turn off the last comment. Hey, everybody. Thanks for being with us today on another Tuesday. I'm going to be traveling tomorrow. First time to fly in 1 month shy of 2 years. Last time I flew was in October 2019. So going to be flying in for Salt Lake, and I don't think anybody in our stream is in the greater Salt Lake area, up into Idaho and down, but we'll be there. John Eves will be there. We're doing a panel. I'm crashing his panel on his Art of Star Trek book that's coming down the line. But we got panels, we got the booth there, and we'll be looking for new Treklanders, maybe some Trek tourists coming up. And maybe some new Portales. I don't know. But we'll be spreading the good word about everything Star Trek. They're holding up our end in the as will the 5 clubs of the 5 ships of the 7th Fleet group. That's one thing I love about Utah is it's one place where there's so many Star Trek clubs and they all get along. I was in shock. There aren't 5 clubs because they all split off of each other like Duplers. They all had geographic regions and different interests, but they all work together, which is awesome. But I'm really looking forward to being back. Interested to see how a non-Trek event like Vegas, how that looks as we creep out of the pandemic bunker. If people are, if they have any mass castles in the air. So that'll be fun. But meanwhile, yes, don't forget about Michael Braveheart's GoFundMe for medical. He's what is that? 46 out of 7, 45 out of 7. Is he 3/4 the way there now? 2/3, 3/4, 6, a little less than a 3/4, 5/8, whatever. He's getting there. It's kind of awesome. Yeah, GoFundMe, friends of Michael Braveheart, and again. What a sweet retweet and a boost signal there from Gates to help her old compadre there in sick bay do that. I'm sure they have not seen each other in years and years and years and years, but it would be sweet to get through all this and arrange that now that they're both in, I think they're both in LA. He is now finally, and she's still here. So one more shout out to our Patreons. Thank you, everybody, for helping us do this every week and add to it. And again, if you want to jump in on the Patreon, it's patreon.com/Trekland Live. A very simple $5 or $10 a month that Patreon will set up with you to collect at the end of the year. And once again, Trek Files is up this week with the great Ian Spelling finally coming out of the shadows and taking ownership of his book, but also being a guest here having a lot of fun talking about his early days of interviewing. I should do that to myself someday. But ask me who was the first person besides Next Generation people that I interviewed. Mark Allen Shepard for Morn, for Starlog. But a lot of fun on the Trek Files, podcast.roddenberry.com, and all the other great Roddenberry podcasts. You should try out some of them. Some of the new ones. Shout out to, well, she's not so new anymore, but shout out to everything happening over at Daily Star Trek News that Allison is building over there. And Sci-Fi 5, if you haven't checked that out. It's just 5 minutes of sci-fi history every day. Some days it's a Star Trek event. It's a lot of fun. Life Support Live, check us out on the Facebook group page. That way you can keep up with the schedule because it does shifts. You can also help vote for the theme topic every week. Right now we're taking our cue from Lower Decks episodes. We won't have a Saturday show or a full show this weekend, but the Zoomy chatty thing is happening with Jared moderating on Zoom. You can get all the info at the Facebook page. All righty. Otherwise, wherever you're watching me right now, that's it on YouTube and Facebook, and also my Instagram handle, Larry Nemecek Trekland. It's just Larry Nemecek on Twitter, portal47.net. If you want to check out what the Portales do, how we take all this and bulk it up every month. Been doing it since way before your grandma could Zoom. Hey everybody, that is it for this week. I'm going to be packing my suitcase and loading up. it's so weird to be packing and going to a live. It was one thing to go to Vegas, but at least I had the car to drive. I'm going to be flying and packing a bag and thinking and gearing up my new stuff, what that looks like even. So we'll see. We will see you next Tuesday. Again, no weekend for me on life support, but I will be with most of you next Tuesday. If you're here, I'll be here at 1 p.m.-ish Pacific time. Other than that, everybody, once again, please stay healthy out there. Do all the things. Please stay woke. Check the sources on that person or on those so-called facts. And above all, trek well, everybody.